What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be discussing another rumor that's come around the Chicago Bulls during this trade deadline period, and it's about, I guess, Coby White and the potential likelihood he could get traded to the Phoenix Suns for Jae Crowder. At the end of the day, these are all just rumors, as I said before. Do not take this video as a fact, or do not say because of this video this trade is going to happen, because that is simply not the case. But we will just discuss, I guess, that potential likelihood of that happening, and whether or not it will be, I guess, a good move for the Chicago Bulls and probably for the Phoenix Suns as well. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls overall, I guess, rumors, and I guess what do you think the Bulls will be doing by the trade deadline. So there is a lot to get through in this instance, but from my understanding, looking at a lot of tweets around social media, whatnot, I believe this one has also come from Daniel Greenberg, suggesting that the Chicago Bulls and the Phoenix Suns have had internal conversations for a potential move with Coby White and Jae Crowder involved. Now, I don't think it really specifies anything else about maybe the Bulls would have to give up more or the Suns would have to give up more. Basically, I think the trade conversations are around these two targets. Now, again, all these are just rumors. Do not expect this to happen, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, with trade rumors, it is also important to talk about. So, Coby White for Jae Crowder. If I'm not mistaken, I've already made this type of video very, very early on in the off season of, I guess, this season's off season. I've already talked a little bit about it and why it's a good thing and a bad thing. And to be honest, not much has really changed in that instant. But for those people that have missed that video, I guess it's time to talk about it again in this time, in this day and age, and of course in this situation. So, Jae Crowder. We know what Jae Crowder would bring to the Chicago Bulls. He's obviously a little bit of a bigger body, 3-and-D player, someone that could be a glue guy for this team. Maybe could be a guy that he's a little bit bigger, as I said before, so he could play in a different position than all of the guards that we have, because we're a very guard-centric team. And it seems like in that retrospect it could be a good deal for the Chicago Bulls, but I think there are a lot of variables that will actually determine why this could be a good and not so good deal for the Chicago Bulls to do. So we'll talk all about that in this video, but I want to start off with one thing. In terms of the Chicago Bulls side of things, if you trade Coby White for Jae Crowder, you're taking a very big risk there and hoping that it will pay off for a variety of reasons. One, Jae Crowder is an expiring deal, essentially. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2023. He's making around $10 million, and at the end of the day, you're hoping that if you trade for Jae Crowder, that you would bring him back to the Chicago Bulls. That's someone, again, I don't see the point in doing this trade if you're only going to use him for half a season, then get rid of him in free agency. I don't see that being as a good thing for the Chicago Bulls. So you're hoping, okay, we trade Coby White, we get Jae Crowder in return. He's a little bit of an older guy, but brings a lot of experience. Again, most of the teams that he's competing for has been in the NBA playoffs, has been around contending as well. So obviously you're bringing a guy with a lot of experience and a lot of, I guess, good positive signs for the Chicago Bulls. That's someone you're going to want to keep long term, in my opinion. So that's one thing, and that's a risk that might not happen because Jae Crowder has played for numerous NBA teams in his entire career, and the Bulls might just be one of those teams on that list. Yes, he plays for them for the rest of this season, but he could go elsewhere, and we've seen he's willing to go elsewhere if things don't go right for him. So that's one thing. A big risk. You might be able to make a payoff if he resigns, but if he doesn't resign, a bit of a wasted trade in that retrospect. But with new developments coming out with this, I guess, deal, Jae Crowder has not played an entire one game this season for the Phoenix Suns. He's not played one single game, and we're past the halfway point in the season. That's a lot of time to be sitting on the bench or sitting at home, wherever he is, and waiting for his opportunity to come. A long time. Whereas Coby White has played 41 games this season for the Chicago Bulls. So there has to be an element of rust there, I would say, for Jae Crowder as well. Yes, we still have a long way to go for him to get his mojo back and to be in, I guess, NBA shape and whatnot. But at the end of the day, that is definitely another talking point that wasn't necessarily the case last time we talked about this. Jae Crowder has not played an NBA game this season. Is that going to affect his performances in the long term or in this short term period for the Chicago Bulls? We don't really know that, but Again, knowing he's a veteran, you would hope that he would be ready for the moment when his moment comes and when his time comes. So those are two things right there that makes this trade situation a little bit more different. Obviously, the expiring contract is the same. He has the same contract as he did this off-season, only 1 year left on his deal. Again, that all makes sense. That's all very similar. We've talked about that already. But not playing a game this season is a big, I guess, question mark on that trade and whether or not it's the right deal for us. You also have to take into consideration that Coby White has actually had a very good season for us thus far. Now, I'm going to be as objective as possible here. I don't want to be biased in many ways. I've seen a lot of people saying if you lose Coby White, you're losing a bench scorer on this team. Well, let's be honest. If you Coby White is averaging 8.2 points this season for the Chicago Bulls. It's his lowest, I believe, in a Chicago Bulls uniform. Whereas Jae Crowder, for the most part, has always averaged around 10 points per game. I don't think you're losing a bench scorer if you get rid of Coby White. But what makes Coby White so good this season is because he's making differences in other ways. His defensive pressure has been solid for the Chicago Bulls. Very good. His hard work has put him in the lineup for multiple games now and is playing a lot of minutes for this team. And he's making a difference in the playmaking side of things and the rebounding side of things. He's been one of the best rebounding guards on this team. So at the end of the day, these are the things that are making Coby White so good for the Chicago Bulls right now and why his effort and his play is leading to us winning some of these games. With Jae Crowder, you're going to get very similar things as well. So I'm not necessarily focused about losing a bench scorer because technically it's Coby White's other attributes that are really helping him. If Coby White was still very poor on defense, not rebounding as well, getting beat off the dribble every single time, and he's averaging 8.2 points, numerous Chicago Bulls fans would have already had enough of him by then. But because we're seeing all these things and all these hard work, then in my opinion, that's why Coby White has been a success story this season for the Chicago Bulls. And with Jae Crowder, I do think you get some of those things as well. I don't think you're going to get the playmaking from Jae Crowder as you would for Coby, but I think you're going to get a three-point shooter, which you need. I think you're going to get a rebounder and a defender, which we will need with Jae Crowder. You're going to get a tough player in Jae Crowder as well. So there are some good qualities to Jae Crowder that I think we would have, and there are good qualities to Coby White, which I think we have now. So the real question is, would you be willing to sacrifice, I guess, Coby White for Jae Crowder? A short-term deal, essentially, with the risk of him leaving in free agency? Or would you rather keep Coby White knowing that there could be different trades on the horizon that might make us a little bit better? That's the real question that I have for you guys. Well, let's discuss it a little bit more in detail. The way that I see it, I would not do this deal anymore. I think the video that I made before, I would have been happy with Jae Crowder on this team for Coby White. But this season, the way that it sits right now, I would not be willing to trade Coby White for Jae Crowder. And there's a variety of reasons why. Obviously, again, the big one is he hasn't played this season. So the Jae Crowder that we all know and we all know what he can be will take a long time to develop, and I don't think we have that time, to be honest, for him to get back to that NBA shape. We don't have that time. And in order to sacrifice a 22-year-old, I think Coby White is now, a restricted free agent, that's someone we could keep long-term for a short-term deal with a risk that he could leave, I'm not sure if I would be willing to do that, in all honesty. That's one thing. But two, I don't think any team is willing to do that at this point. You think if a team was willing to trade for Jae Crowder, they would have done it already. You know what I mean? I just feel like Jae Crowder is one of those players that I think most NBA teams would love to have. But the fact of the matter is, he's on an expiring deal. I think many teams are waiting for a buyout for Jae Crowder. And unless Phoenix makes it absolutely clear there is no way they're buying out Jae Crowder, then teams are not going to be willing to make trades for Jae Crowder, in my opinion. I don't think, at least from my understanding, Phoenix have made it clear we are not buying out Jae Crowder. He's going to sit on this bench for the rest of the season. They've not made it clear. Jae Crowder probably wants a buyout. He doesn't want to be in Phoenix anymore. So why would the Bulls make a trade like this? You're risking something there. The best way to describe it, the only way that it makes sense that we would go and trade Coby White for Jae Crowder is to make sure other teams don't get involved in a buyout. That's the only way that I see it. In a buyout situation, Jae Crowder gets to decide where he wants to go, and he might not decide the Chicago Bulls. You make a trade like this, you're basically guaranteeing that Jae Crowder will be on your team for the rest of the season. And then see what happens in the offseason and whatnot. So, again, I think that's the only reason why you make a trade like this, and I don't think that's a good enough reason, to be honest. I think you're better off waiting for a buyout and hoping AK and Eversley can, I guess, persuade Jae Crowder to join this Bulls team. I think that's the best approach to go with, while not sacrificing a 22-year-old, 21-year-old, however old he is, Coby White, that still has a load of potential on your team to become a very good player, while also probably has more trade value than, I would say, an expiring deal Jae Crowder that could potentially be on a buyout situation. So that's kind of what I think. And if I was the Bulls, I would stay away from this deal, to be honest. But again, maybe that desperation is starting to kick in for them, that they just need to switch it up, and Coby White is the best way to switch it up, trading him and bringing somebody else in. That's one way. That's one way we can think of it. But at the same time, if I'm Phoenix, I'm stoked if they're trading Coby White for Jae Crowder, because Coby White has improved defensively. Coby White is still going to be, in my opinion, a very good player in the NBA. Jae Crowder doesn't play for the Suns anymore. He's basically said he's not playing for them anymore. He's sitting out. That Phoenix Suns team needs a spark for sure, and they're looking for a backup point guard. Coby White could be all those things for them. So if I'm Phoenix, I'm stoked if Chicago approaches that, I'll give you Coby White for Jae Crowder. But for the Bulls, there's a lot of risks involved for a guy that's on an expiring deal. So if I was the Bulls, I'd have to be very careful, and I would really hope they'd be asking for more from Phoenix if you're just going to get rid of Coby White like that. Because at least we have the power in restricted free agency to keep Coby. With Jae Crowder, you just have no reliability, no responsibility whatsoever. I just don't know if that's the right way to go. But ultimately, we'll wait and see what the Bulls decide to do. This is just a rumor at the end of the day. I've discussed this trade in a little bit more detail. Personally, I think the Bulls should be asking more from Phoenix because, again, I don't think they have that much power here in this trade for a player that's not playing for them. So, again, it's a bit of an interesting one, but I wouldn't do this deal as a Bulls fan. If this came to me and said, would you take Jae Crowder for Coby White straight up? If I was the front office, I would be saying no, we would need more because your situation is really, really bad with Jae Crowder, and I think we could take advantage of that. That's personally what I would do, but again, let me know in the comments below what you would do. And yeah, let's just hope that whatever trades that we make, I do want to see a change in this team, but I don't want us to be stupid in making those changes as well. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Hopefully this video made sense. Again, I'm just a Bulls fan. I don't have every analytic, every contract, every, I guess, players' emotions and feelings. I'm not a researcher, I guess, looking at what these players want and what these players usually do. I'm just giving my opinion on the contract. And I think for this trade, I think at the off-season it made more sense to do this compared to now. Now is a completely different story in my opinion. There are some similar traits, expiring deal and whatnot. 32 years old for Jae Crowder. It is a bit of a risk to bring him in and hope that he will stay for the entire season and long term. Big risks there. But again, there's new developments in this story, as in Coby White has developed himself to be a very solid bench player for this team. He's obviously a young guy, restricted free agency, and most likely we have the power to do what we need to do with Coby White. Also, Jae Crowder's not played this season. So again, there's a lot of variables that we now know this season that we didn't know back then. And I think that changes the narrative of this story a little bit. So, with all that being said, again, I'd like to know what you guys would think. And I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care.